I've got some good ones that I think you're gonna like, and we're live.
Are we live though?
We are live. It says we're live.
It says, but are we? There we are.
I think we're
Are
live.
you? Are we just? Are
We're
you? Is it on your page? You share it, or how do you get it on your page now?
just shared it.
Just shared it.
I'm gonna
Okay.
share one more time.
Sharesies.
Share
All right.
it.
So last week we talked about starting a business, among other things. We talked about a lot of things. What's happening in our lives, in our businesses, moving into 2026. We talked about starting a new business venture together, something that we can kind of start remotely, get up off the ground quickly, start generating income. And we asked people for their ideas on which business to start. We today brought 5 ideas each, and we're going to compare them and hopefully walk away with one genius business idea that we can start right away with busy families and schedules.
Yes, and I think to anyone watching this, the purpose of this is to show you that one, if you have an idea that's kind of been brewing and sitting there, or maybe you've talked about it with family or friends or whatever other business partners, how we want to show you how it is possible you can do it. That's one. But two, also by working with us and our business, how we can help you actually bring that idea to life.
Yes.
So we're going to use ourselves as case studies, show you how we utilize our own services, our own brains, and show you the everything from the literally coming up with the idea to brainstorming how to break it apart, how we reverse engineer and build out a company and then launch it, and then hopefully it turns out to be successful. I mean, maybe it'll fail, right? But at least it'll show you how to sort of, what I like to say is take a swing at it. You know, if you're not swinging at the ball, you'll never hit a home run.
Well, let's see. How many businesses fail? What's the failure rate for businesses?
It's good.
20% closing in the first year, 50% within 5, 70 not surviving 10. So chances are against us, but you don't lose. You win or learn. So every business venture, failed ones included, teach you a lot. So, that's something I talk to a lot of people about. I find people think, they get an idea and they take a couple steps towards it. And if it doesn't work right away, they give up and they think that's it. That doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But, any business can work really.
Right.
If you put the time in, right? And if you focus on it and you're willing to go through those iterations.
And it's also just like trying to find a career or like going through different jobs, right? Like sometimes you'll go and try a job, you work there for a year, and after a year or maybe even 3 months or whatever it is, and you decide it's not for you, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same with businesses. And sometimes you got to try it out to find out that you hate it, or try to find out that you're actually maybe not good at it or as good at it as you thought you were, or whatever it might be. Or maybe you're amazing at it and it succeeds and it does amazing, right? But the more times you try, the better, right? You get up and you try again. So.
Or you run into problems and you think, oh, I can't do this because this is a problem. When realistically, the whole idea behind any business is solving problems. That's the goal. You're solving problems for other people, for your customers. But it's your job to solve problems to make that business work.
And to relate it back to somebody's career as well, like when you first started that career job that you're doing now, even if you went to school for it, you had prior training, prior experience, when you get into your new role at your job, there was learning curves. Within the first 3 months, you fell down, you hit a wall, and somebody helped you over that wall. And they got you through that experience. And maybe it was through training, coaching, job shadowing, whatever it might be, you figured it out. And that's the same with the business. Like, just because it fails, maybe you need a mentor on how did they get over that. Maybe you need some coaching. Maybe you need this. Maybe you need that. Maybe you do need to fail so that you can pick it apart. And like Morgan said earlier, it's not a loss. It's a learn. You're learning and you're not losing. So that's the only way you're going to win. Like a sports team, you're not going to win every single game. Your defense isn't going to play the best. Your offense isn't going to play the best. What did you learn from the last game? Implement it into the next game.
Yeah, you might lose for 50 years in a row. Like some teams.
We don't need to talk about hockey teams. We don't need to talk about hockey. We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to get there. We didn't need to go there. Why did we have to go there? No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, exactly. It's very true though. Like, what are they just going to fold up the team and call it a day? No, they've been trying every single year. But last year they won the banner, and they hadn't won that in a long time. And they won.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And Then Mitch Marner left. But
It was a
anyways,
low blow, uncalled for.
let's run it back to Kawhi Leonard. That was brutal. But anyways, okay, so let's dive into this. So what we did this week is we both came up with 5 ideas. I think you mentioned it earlier, that we had ideas anyways. We decided to stick with 5. We didn't tell each other the 5 before we got on the live. We just went.
No, you wanted to. I wanted to keep
did want to, and Morgan was like, no cheating. So there might be some overlaps, and if there is, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because that means our brains are kind of going in the same direction. Sure. I tried to stick away from our last conversation with some of the ones that I heard you say, because I figured you might bring those to the table. So I was like, okay, I know he said this, and that, so I'm not going to do that, and that. So I've got 5, you've got 5. I think we should go idea for idea, right? And then like you'll say your idea, break it down a little bit on kind of the potential, a little bit about it, or whatever kind of information that you want to provide about it. It doesn't have to be like full details, whatever you've got. And then I'll do the same. So you'll say an idea, I'll say an idea, why I think it's good, like say your case, and then we'll go back and forth until we go through all 10. And then at the end, we'll try to dial in and maybe like our top 3 that we like. And then
we can do maybe top 3, and then we can have people help us choose between those 3. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Before we even go through our 5, I asked ChatGPT. I was like, this is what we're doing. We're trying to pick one. What are your suggestions? So I'm just going to rip through. I asked them for 10. I'll just rip through them quickly, just for the fun of it, to see what their thoughts were. And then we'll actually see where those align with where we're at too. And if it's kind of on point. At first, it was all content related businesses. And I was like, it doesn't need to be that at all. It understands like our business. And so it was trying to make,
it relevant to that.
Yeah, exactly. So I told him, no, it doesn't have to do that. So just really quickly, I'll go through these. Touche.
I think that's a bad idea. And I don't want to say that. Awesome. I just want to say because then it's probably going to expose some of the ones we actually have written down. So I think we should just not do that for now, because I kind of did that same thing, and that's how I got some of mine. Okay. So it's just going to be like redundant at that point. So
sure. Fine.
Don't yell at me. Okay, but you can go first.
Ahead. I'll go first. Lawn care and snow maintenance.
Yeah, what? No, get out of here. I told you that one's mine.
Yeah, okay. You go ahead. I know that's
okay. I'm going to start with that one just because that's like a one that we did touch on last time, and I do think is relevant. And I kind of tweaked it a little bit. It's property maintenance. So it's a property maintenance company, which can also include for example, if we wanted to, we can go the property management route and not just do snow removal and lawn maintenance. We could do like we were talking about last week, where it's like you add the gutter cleaning service, the a la carte part, where it's like, okay, maybe we're doing window washing, maybe we're doing just different things that the property might need. And you can cater this to your everyday residential people. You can cater it to commercial properties. You could cater it as well to real estate investors or short-term rental people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You could do it to kind of everybody. But the idea is it's a year-round subscription-based property maintenance company where we're doing snow removal, we're doing leaves, we're doing lawn maintenance, so everything from mowing your lawn, edge work, maybe touching up the gardens a little bit, if they need new soil or they need this, or like nothing over the top like gardening per se, but like that sort of thing. It could also be technically, like I just kind of threw this in, the leaf blowing the property. You could potentially even pressure wash the driveway, right? So these are things that you could include. You could have an a la carte, and then for example, in the winter, you could add where we're gonna shovel, we're gonna do your windrows at the bottom, we're gonna do your walkways, we're gonna salt, and then again, when it comes to the fall season, we're gonna clean your gutters. We're going to completely remove all of the leaves, etc. Leaf blow, obviously rake, get rid of the materials as well, so they're not just sitting on your property. So that's sort of a service, and it would be a year-round subscription. You could pay annually or you could pay monthly. We would launch it. We would then get the clients. We would go hard for about 2-3 months to get clients, and we would launch it at the end of that season. So for example, winter's about to end. So we're doing spring cleanups. We're touching up your property. We might do aerating, getting your lawn ready for when, April showers bring May flowers. And then once the May flowers part happens, then we get, transition into your lawn maintenance and all that good stuff. But basically what we would do is when we launch that, we're running our sales system. So we obviously are going to have to hire salespeople / we want to make it where it's easy for them to sign up on the website. They can go directly to our website, or they can see what we offer on our Facebook page and Instagram. They can click on it. They go to our website. They can sign up directly on the website, make their payment on the website, whether they pay for the annual service and they pay up front and they'll save a little bit, or they're on a monthly subscription base, because that's what we're really after. We want them to be paying monthly. And essentially what happens from there is we will hire enough people to fulfill the service, and we won't really have to be dealing with too much. And we'll have kind of like a threshold of, okay, well, once we have this many clients, we need to hire another person. Once we get this threshold, or for example, we were talking about maybe we're servicing Hamilton area for the first little bit, and then in the second little bit, maybe we expand and now we're offering it out in my area, Durham region or Bowmanville, or however we want to look at it. And we kind of build it out that way. So that's kind of the general idea. Let us know what you think about it. If you think that's the one. Morgan, what do you think about that idea?
So, I mean, I like service-based business. I think that's great. The only pushback I have on that is that it's so widespread that it's not as niche as it could be, just in the sense of, what's the offer? Like, we're getting all these things, like maybe not everybody needs everything. I get it's a la carte, but then you have to have on standby somebody to perform each of those tasks. Sure, there maybe not that much skill involved in each, but there's some know-how, there's some equipment involved. So, as opposed to just doing lawn, like we have the equipment for lawn, we just do the lawn, or just doing, and I get the snow and lawn work together because they're seasonal. But that's my only pushback on it, is having that like many moving pieces, like, oh, we want this, this, and this, but our trade guy who does aerating is, busy, or we lost touch with them, or whatever the case is, right? It's a lot of management of people and trades in that sense.
I agree. But I also would say that, to your point about not needing as much skill, the person that you're hiring for the job has to be capable of doing the services, right? Pushing a lawnmower is not hard. Obviously doing a good job at it. Some people are really good at it, and they can create those really nice lines, for example. Their edge work is really good. And again, when it gets to even the snow removal, some people are really good at the snow removal and they make it look amazing. And some people kind of do like a little bit of a rough job of it, and it doesn't look so great. So I would say, so for cons, right, I'd like to kind of maybe write down 5 cons for each. So for cons for like property maintenance, we're going to say equipment right off the bat, because you've got not just do we have to get the equipment, we have to also trust whoever we're hiring with the equipment. So we're basically letting them have the equipment, and they have it on they're obviously, when we hire somebody, you got to hire someone that has a truck, these different things. So there's special requirements, like got to find the niche person, I would say. But you get the right guy for the job. He's got a truck, right guy or girl for the job. They have a truck. We have to get the equipment though for them. Then there's maintenance for the equipment, right? So are they damaging our equipment, this, that, and the other? How much equipment do we really need to buy? Are they going to be able to store all the equipment? Is there that much equipment where it's like, is there a storage thing going on here? Do we need to get like how some places they'll get like a storage unit or something like that, where the people can go pick up the equipment, for example? Or is this all sitting in your garage or my garage, right? Where they have to come here and they have to pick up the equipment, right? So there's equipment in general, I would say, between maintenance, purchasing it, trusting the person with it. Where is it, like the logistics of it, the storage, all that kind of stuff. So equipment. People management. So you're talking not just your clients, because you got your client management, obviously, like, is there a problem? Is everything going good? There's that part of it. But then there's people in general. So you got to hire people, got to hire the right people. We got to make sure they're getting paid. There's the management of people, right? Those are like the 2 big ones so far. What was your other con, would you say? Your knowledge, like knowledge of each job. Like, do we need multiple different tradespeople for different things, or can we use one person? So I would say
well, and then there's a way to look at it, whether you're hiring somebody to do all of these jobs, or whether you're outsourcing to people who have the stuff, right? Those are 2 things you could look at. You might have maybe a little less margins on the outsource, but less management.
And then to your other point, which was saturated niche.
or just being like clarity for the consumer. Like, what are you guys offering? Like, you do all these things, like,
But I would say saturated niche is a con.
Yeah.
Not just, to your point, is the a la carte part, right? Like we talked about, that could be kind of a pro, I would say, rather than a con, but it could also be a con because of, like, to your point is, do we have somebody that's able to do all the stuff, or do we have to outsource it? So that's kind of so we have equipment, people management, knowledge of the job or outsourcing, saturated niche, and maybe one more. Do we have one more? What was that last one? Maybe.
I think those are the big ones. We don't necessarily like need to find five cons. One con might be big enough, right? Like for it to not work. I'm not saying that this is.
No. Yeah. No,
I get great model, but yeah, those are just the things you got. Like we said, the problems you got to solve.
So I would say pros, though, yearly subscription is definitely a possibility. I would say if you do find the right person for the job, it could be a home run, right? Somebody that doesn't want to do the sales, doesn't want to do the marketing. They just want to be able to, like, get up and they have their schedule for the week. Like, okay, I'm doing XYZ lawns and all that kind of stuff. So I would say pros would be our schedule management, and I would say employee retention. So, schedule management, employee retention, I think, is huge. So again, finding the right person, but being able to keep them occupied and have a job, and they know that they're good all year, right? So yearly subscription, schedule management, employee retention.
Let's not, because we have 10 to go through. We'll kind of not spend too much time on like thinking to try to find. We got the basics of it, I think, right?
We'll jump back to them if anything, if we go back through it or whatever. Okay.
My other question would be how to market it, right?
Right, for sure. There's many, and we can get into that. I think we need to get, like, to your point, let's get into that stuff in the next one. Once we choose our top 3, we'll dive more deeper into that stuff, because we could pick those apart for each of them. And you're right, we'll be here all day. So
you want to go 5 for 5 or 1 for 1?
No, 1 for 1. So I did the property maintenance. That's, again, snow removal, lawn maintenance. You're all year round. You're doing spring cleanup, you're doing fall stuff, clean gutters, raking the leaves, getting rid of the stuff, property maintenance.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take a turn here. We're gonna go like event rentals.
Okay.
So like bouncy castles, basically bouncy castles and photo booths. Those are my 2 ideas. You wouldn't necessarily have to do both. You could niche into one of them, but they're kind of they kind of could go hand in hand. And then with that, you could partner with like princesses, people who provide princesses for events. My question on that is, I know there's a lot of princesses, but do they have princes? So that could be a kind of a sideline. We can throw in the prince there too, but basically bouncy castle rental. You buy a bouncy castle for a couple grand, and you rent it out for $400 or whatever for an event, and you pay yourself back pretty quickly with that. Similarly with a photo booth, they're pretty straightforward. You have somebody go set it up, man it at the event. Not a ton of maintenance to it. That's it. I mean,
so I like it. It's a great idea. I've got pushback on that, and the reason why I do is, so there's 2 things. One, I'll throw it out there at the top, is it's not really subscription based, although you can get returning clients. So I do like the returning clients part of it, because, for example, if you rent out a bouncy castle to somebody for their birthday, their kid's birthday, for example, they're probably going to come back to you every year, because I know that from experience. Like, we've been renting bouncy castles forever for our kids' birthdays every year in the summer. We actually bought our own. We have one now. It's not a massive one, like a big huge one, but it's like good for like Lanny and like Kaya, like so like anywhere from like under 8 and under, I would say it's good for like that age group. But anyways, even though we have that, we still rent the big one for the birthdays. So right? And then you can do weddings if you get the right one. Like there's like a nice white one you can get that you can actually rent to weddings if you did that route. But I actually used to do content creation and social media management. One of Captured Connections clients, they were called Mascots and More.
Okay.
They did exactly that. So they rented out bouncy castles, not just bouncy castles. Actually, they evolved into, because of insurance reasons, the insurance to get an enclosed bouncy castle is very high. So annually paying a lot of money.
Fair enough, yeah.
But what you don't have to pay massive insurance on is if you get something that's like a jousting one, for example, where it's like it's a blow up one, but instead of being an enclosed one, it's actually open, but you stand up on these blow up like little platforms, and then you're jousting with each other, then you fall off and whatever. Or there's one that's like a wrecking ball one, or there's a bunch of different ones. And those ones you actually don't have to pay that high insurance for. So that's a little inside intel.
That makes sense, because when I was at Festival of Friends just this last summer in Hamilton, while we were there, Margot was in one that collapsed, and one of the kids got stuck in there, and it was a scary little moment. Everyone was fine, but like you have people obviously on site to man it for that reason, so that you can get them out. This was the carnies, so they weren't paying as much attention as maybe they should have been. But what I'll say is about the insurance is that can be passed on. Right? Like that's going to be incorporated into the cost. Sure, that you want this one that is incorporated, it's more expensive, right? So,
but it's similar to like if you do snow removal. We talked about this last week. If you do snow removal and you have a truck and you put a plow on it, your insurance is like, it's so expensive. And I'm talking like 25 grand for the year or something like that. And I understand passing it off, right? But we're trying to kind of do a startup where you don't have to go there. Now, to kind of be devil's advocate, or not, maybe this is the other side, this is the angel advocate. You don't have to get the bouncy castle. You could go get the jousting one, right? Have to start with the bouncy castle. You start with the open concept ones, and then now you don't have to run into that problem, and you just pay it's kind of like a regular insurance, you could call it, where it's not that easy to start up. But the mascots is a great idea. Would be like your princesses, your princes. You could get Spider-Man, you could get, whatever, right? Like all the different ones. And that's a good route to go. Also the photo booth. I like that one as well. And again, you get your return clients. You can go corporate, you can go family friendly, you can do a bunch of different sides of it. So I like that. And we're actually currently, me and Lindsay are working with a party rental company. And she does like chairs, she does cocktail tables, she does like all these different things. And people can actually just show up to her house and pick them up, right? So, like, for example, the cocktail tables, she needs to buy more of them because she can't even keep them in stock. They're just renting nonstop. And it might only be like $10 a table or $15 a table, right? But if each party's renting 10 of them, you're making a quick $150 each weekend, for these tables, right? And it's very low maintenance. And so I like the event rentals. I think we need to tweak up what the offer is, right? But event rental company in general is good. My only other con I would say to that one is there's no subscription base. Really, like, I'm not saying that there couldn't be, because there could be some companies that run a monthly event or something, right? But it's a little bit lower.
Well, and the thing is, so it may not be subscription based in nature, but it's definitely word of mouth worthy, right? You have a family, then they tell their friends, all the other kids that were there, they want it for their birthday. Like we just had my daughter's birthday at Funzilla. Every kid there now wants their birthday at Funzilla. So that is a good aspect to it. And then the other thing is maybe you partner again with, like, at the park across the street from us, there was 3 times, I think, this past summer that we just showed up at the park randomly, and there was somebody having a birthday with a bouncy castle. So maybe you partner with the city or, park staff or whatever, and you become the kind of go-to for those events when people are like, oh, we want to, like, I'm assuming you have to get some sort of permit. So, if you're having a party in the park, so, whenever somebody approaches, say, yeah, and we can, if you want a bouncy castle, we can connect you with this person. So there's partnerships there, I think, that could really help, like, limit your marketing costs, the word of mouth and the partnerships. And then it's not subscription, but it's recurring, even though not with the same person.
Yes. So you got your returning clients, you got partnership opportunities. You can become a preferred partner. So like, like you're saying with the park, you set it up with them where you're like, hey, you can include this now in your pamphlet. Hey, every time that somebody rents this bouncy castle, we're going to give you guys a kickback or whatever, right? we can give you guys a free rental every year because you guys do your own party. So we'll hook you guys up and we'll come and sponsor it or whatever, right? Word of mouth is heavy on that one, which I do agree with. And again, you're returning, which we already mentioned. Cons are like it's not subscription based. There's a lot of return, but not necessarily subscriptions. You got your insurance, question mark, right?
So I did a quick search on ChatGPT, typical cost in Ontario, and it's looking like not that much. Like
nice.
Most common 800 to 1,500 per year for liability for like a municipality or school, and then you would need additional insurance for like damage to your own equipment.
Okay.
So you're looking at another, you know, I don't know what it says here. Extra costs to be aware of, 200 to 400 for inflatables. So I don't think it's anywhere like 25 grand kind of thing. I think you might be looking at, you know,
I think again, that's more the enclosed ones for the bouncy castle.
Yeah, I'd have to look more. They didn't necessarily.
I think there's anyways, the way it was explained to me was, but again, that's why I put insurance. I put question mark, right? Something you got to look into, make sure your liability, make sure you're covered. Just because, like, even your experience, right, with the bouncy castle, like it gets a little scary. I also had a bad experience with the bouncy castle where it was like crazy wind gusts that came through, and Landon was on one of the bouncy castles, and it went up like 6 feet in the air. And had it gone further, like it could have been very bad. They obviously have weights on them, and there was people around it. Like, as you mentioned, they actually like jumped on them and grabbed it. Like, it was crazy, but it was scary. Like, my kid was like almost traumatized.
There's also like slides and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are options for not being enclosed that you can start with and then scale from there.
And then, so the next one is maintenance on them. So every time that people use them, so there's like the logistics again. So there's the drop off of them, then you got to pick them up, and then you got to, the next one after this is storage. So storage, and then the maintenance. So after every use, you essentially have to like wet them down, close them, check them for any rips or tears. If there's anything, you have to obviously fix them. And then you have once you clean them, you have to dry them completely. And because what happens is you run into mold issues with them. So you have to like make sure that they're completely dry. But again, it's just a process, and you just you include it in your flow. Not that it's a major con that's going to deter you from opening the business. It's just something to think about, right? So, but no, I like that one, event rentals. And again, back to like expand on that, like, you know, we're talking bouncy castles, we're talking mascots and stuff, which is all great stuff. And again, you kind of scale out as you go. You listen to your customers. What are the things that people want? What's trending? What's the new, you know, Frozen came out, and all of a sudden now everyone wants the, you know, Elsa or whatever, right?
Yeah, well, that's why the partner with the mascots is great. Instead of having all the inventory, you can kind of upsell and middleman the mascots. And the photo booth, I really like the photo booth idea. I was at the Children's Museum opening here last week, and they had a photo booth there. I mean, there's the ones that are just kind of like the standalone, which is super easy, and then there's the cool, like, old school, like, bigger photo booth that people get really
out right there. And so there's I know from just like doing it myself as well, that there's like manned and unmanned. So if you manned one, it costs more. You charge, let's say, $600 for the 3 hours, or if it's unmanned, you might charge $300. So, and then there's good overhead on that, because you're only paying the person that's manning it X amount of dollars. You know, let's just say $20 an hour. All you got to go is stand at the event. You know, they make like $60 to $100 or whatever it is, but you charge $600 for it, and then you just have this piece of equipment that it's actually kind of easy to store them too. They break down pretty good. So they're not so bad on that. I like the photo booth. And again, that's something that you can always constantly expand on. Like, for example, event rental business that we work with, they've got chafing dishes, they've got dishes, they've got cups, they've got tablecloths. Like, you can eventually really expand it out and scale it out as you go. And it's like a supply and demand situation. So I like the event rentals business. I think it's a great one. That's a good one. All right, so let's keep it moving. Let's get to the next one. All right, we're jumping over to a completely different niche. And I like how we both have like completely different niches so far. We have two like completely different. So I like that. And this one's also completely different. And I actually really like this one. And I think it's relevant to both of me and you. I also think it's relevant to our lifestyles. But this is a sports league. So it doesn't have to be a major sports league. It doesn't have to be this huge, massive thing. But you can do adults or kids. You can do indoor ball hockey or basketball. You can do indoor soccer if you want. You know, you can pick your sport, start with one sport, scale it out, maybe add another sport. But this is something that can be offered year round. It can be subscription based, or every quarter you're switching up the sport or starting a new season, and there's fees and there's X amount of games and there's refs and there's this and there's that. But there is a formula for it. It's very simple, straightforward. It's not a huge overhead to run it. You reach out to certain community centers or wherever you're going to do it at, and you book the place up for every Thursdays for the entire year, for example, and this time slot, and then you can run multiple divisions. So you could do 35 plus ball hockey, and then you could do 55 plus ball hockey if you wanted to, or you could do 21 plus, or you could do after school program, or you could do again, you can start somewhere where like the niche is heavy and it's going to fill up so that you can launch for a first season, and then you can then open up new areas where see where the supply and demand is. Again, you can survey people, you can work with the community centers to help. They'll help you fill up the spots. Find an area that's in need. Maybe again, like your town might have a bunch of basketball leagues or a bunch of this leagues or a bunch of that leagues, but they don't have, let's say, the indoor ball hockey league, which is in a small gym, not the big, huge ice rinks, because the big ice rinks are great, but they're a little intimidating for some people. When you do the smaller gyms, people like that. So, again, ball hockey, you could even do dodgeball. You could do pickleball is a big one now.
Yeah.
Again,
I literally have ball hockey, dodgeball, pickleball written down here.
Right. So those are like I put indoor ball hockey because I play indoor ball hockey in a gym, and I just know that it's a no-brainer one, and you could easily I could start a league out here probably tomorrow, launch it for spring. Obviously, we wouldn't launch it for right now, but it actually does fit within our time frame as well of building this out, launching it, filling up for spring and summer, so we can actually launch. Spring signups are now, summer is also open, and we can fill up our spring and summer. So obviously, I don't need to go too much further into that idea in terms of what the concept is, but that's the idea. So sports league, adult or kids, we would start with one or the other. Yeah. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's cool. I like it a lot. I think it could work very easily. I think there's definitely a demand for it. Even basketball, I played in Brody League in Burlington. It's massive. But it's also very very established. It's full jerseys and this whole thing, right? A lot of people are looking for I played it and I'm I can't keep up with the 20-year-olds. So I would rather have an old man league, more of a rec league, right? And and I see people asking in Facebook groups all the time, is there basketball that I could play around here? Specifically basketball I see often, but I'm sure it could work for dodgeball. One of my good buddies, Jamie, who you've seen pictures of him. He's a dodgeball champion. He was here just this weekend in Markham and then came over to visit for a bit for a dodgeball tournament. So I know that there's demand for it. I have no idea what the margins would be like. I guess pretty good if you have everyone paying to enter a team. It costs this much, and then your only overhead is your space rental and some equipment, I guess.
Referee, space rental. I already have the time clock, so we don't have to buy the time clock's also not even that expensive. But I already have the time clock.
And then I'm assuming insurance as well.
So when you book the hall, or when you book the center,
it's covered.
You pay an extra $10, $15, or it depends on how many people in the age group and all this stuff. You just basically click a box and they'll add $15 to $20 for each hour or whatever. So, and usually the fees are not that expensive, because you're renting a small gym. It's a lot different than, for example, when you rent an ice pad at one of these arenas. It's very expensive. It can get very costly. So then the fees. So it's I would say it's high demand, low overhead, and not only can you do the seasons, but you also do tournaments, right? And not only can you get full teams to enter, but you can actually sign up individuals. So if you want to just sign up as an individual, that's no problem. You just sign, you pay your fees, and you're in, and we're going to put you on a team, and we try to do balanced teams. How you do the balanced teams, there's multiple different ways that different people do it. So if you're new to the league, they do almost like an all-stars game, right? And an all-stars thing where you do so let's just go with basketball for this conversation. So you would set it up where it's an hour session. people come because you're new to the league, and you come in and you're doing basically drills. So you do set up like 3-4 different stations, and everybody's doing a shooting drill, you're doing a running drill, and you're doing maybe another little clinic. And then at the end, you kind of piece off teams and you do like a 5-on-5 and king of the court, or however you want to do it. And so you have people that are evaluating everyone there, kind of taking notes. You separate teams, you get pennies, you throw the pennies on the teams, they play some games, and then you further evaluate. And then everybody leaves, and then they get put on teams through the evaluators, and then you just get placed, and then that's the way it goes. And then you have like a rating system from then on out. So those players, there's a system where basically they have team ratings and player ratings, and you have to keep your stats and all this kind of stuff. With basketball, it's a little bit harder to keep the stats. With like something like hockey, it's a little bit easier. Something like dodgeball, you can't really even do the stats. So different sports have different systems in order to kind of make sure that teams are balanced. And then eventually, if you get big, you've got A division, B division, C division, or however that goes. And again, you can scale up, you can scale out. So scaling up, meaning like you can go A, B, and C division, scale out, offering different sports, offering different, 35 plus, then a 55 plus, a 21 plus. So you got your 21s to 35s, you got your 35s to 55s, 55s is your senior. So anyways, that's the general idea of sports league. There are pros and cons to it. Obviously, I think the pros outweigh the cons, but to your point about your questioning of what's the profitability, I would say it's a high profitability, and it's something that you can determine. It's budget friendly, meaning like once you have X amount of teams, that tells you how much time you book, and how many hours you book at the arena, and how many hours you book with your referees and whoever else, right? And these aren't sanctioned leagues, so these aren't like the OJHL or what. This is just rec. So
exactly.
You avoid a lot of different things by making it recreational.
Yeah.
All right, that's my second one.
Cool. No, I like it. I'm surprised. It was a curveball with that one.
I like the curveball because of sports, but yeah.
That's right. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, no problem. Let us know in the comments if you guys are watching. I want to know what is right now. We have 3 on the table, right? We've got the property maintenance, we've got the event rentals, and then we have the sports league. What is your favorite so far that you've heard? And which one would you start? If you could start one, which one would you start? Which one do you think would make the most money? And which one do you think would just be overall the best? Like, I mean, like lifestyle wise, like, because we're talking about doing this kind of as a side hustle. So what one would you run? Would you rather do the property maintenance one, where again, you don't have to go pick up the shovels, you don't have to pick up the lawnmowers, you don't have to pick up the snow blowers, you don't have to clean the gutters, you're hiring people. And if you were going to do, let's say, the event rentals, you might have to have a little bit more involvement in it, only because you might have to have all the stuff that's being rented. It might have, especially at the beginning, you might have to start out of your garage, right? Or no, I'm just talking to the people because you were gone. So I was
okay.
Or
you knew how that's right.
or for example, if you're doing the event rentals, you could then now get a storage unit where you can now hire people where it's like, okay, you're in your drop off pickup guys, they just go show up to the storage unit. Or if it's something that the people can just pick up, they actually just have a passcode. They bleep, 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 bleep. Everything's on video camera. They show up to your unit, bleep, bleep, bleep. They open up the door opens up. They go in, they pick up their item, and then they put it in their truck. And so it's all a DIY, do it yourself. So it can be completely hands off, really, if you think about it. And then the sports league is like a little bit of involvement, especially at the beginning, but you can kind of make it pretty automated by doing it through a website where people can just go sign up on the website, put on their credit card information or whatever, pay their fees, and here's your schedule. We'll see you on the 17th, right? And then then it just kind of runs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, because most of what we talked about so far is very involved, right? Originally we talked about something being a little.
I would say not really, because for example, let's go property maintenance company, just to go with it, right? We set it up, we set up the website, we set up the marketing, we do the marketing, we're pushing hard for our spring cleanup and then our summer clients that are going to then turn into snow removal, right? But they sign up within our 3-month push, right? So we're going to sign up X amount of clients within that time. Then we hire accordingly, right? So all that's kind of done through online marketing, and then they sign up through the website. We don't necessarily have to jump on a phone because they're just going to sign up through the website. That's the goal.
No,
right?
agreed. This is like my cleaning business, so that one is less involved for sure.
Okay.
Sports league is fairly involved. I guess they're not necessarily. The rentals doesn't have to be as involved, to your point that you just said.
And the sports one. So the sports one, technically speaking, right?
Mhm.
Other than setting it all up online, giving it some, like throw some pictures or whatever, however we want to do it. Obviously, once you run your first season, you can have more content, right? To then push it further. But to start, we can, come up with some mock-up stuff and whatever else. But it's all done online. You're going to find out how many players you get through the website, right? They get a bounce back email as soon as they sign up. There's an FAQ on the website, so there's no interaction really. It's all online marketing, and then you see if seats get filled up, right? Obviously, because we are involved in sports ourselves, we might be out there just personally wanting to get involved a little bit more, sharing it around, hitting up friends. Maybe we want to play in the league, right? Who knows, right? Because again, this is why this is like a lifestyle one where it fits within our lifestyle. But you don't have to. I could set this up in Campbellford and never go there, and I just hire teenagers to run and be the officiators, they're the referees or whatever. You hire a kid to go out there, and so for example, if I did it in Bowmanville, I would hire my son, right? I'd give him a little bit of a job. He goes there Thursday nights for 3 hours. He runs each division. He knows how it's ran. He's going to be the referee and the moderator or whatever, the point of contact. You pay him $20 an hour again. Normally you pay referees about 25 to $50 an hour, depending on which leagues you're in and stuff like that. But let's just say we paid a teenager $20 an hour. It's a good team job. They get to go out once a week. It's Thursday nights. They make their $60. They show up. The teams just show up. They play their game and they're out of there. All right. You book your whole season of your venue. And to be honest, like the way I've done something like this in the past, and I actually just booked it for the whole year, Thursdays for the entire year. And so I didn't, other than like whenever there was closures, like maybe there's a holiday or whatever, right? But you literally book it for the entire year. That part's done. You send a referee, that part's done. Your involvement's really done. Other than that, you just do your marketing in the background. We might show up to do content every now and then, or maybe we have somebody there that's doing content and you get a volunteer or whatever it might be, and we can update certain things. And then your referees there, and they're taking down the points and the stats for where that's applicable, and they submit it. And so it could be very hands off. It could be hands on if we want it to be, but it could also be very hands off.
Yeah, cool.
Anyways, let's move on. What do we got next?
Next, I have AI influencer drop shipping. So basically what you're doing is you're creating an AI influencer. So you don't need to be the influencer yourself.
Faceless Instagram.
Not faceless. You're creating an AI avatar.
Oh, got you.
Who is the influencer.
Gotcha.
And then that person is creating user-generated content for a brand that you're drop shipping.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, we don't have TikTok Shop in Canada, so it creates an extra step of having to drop ship via a link in your TikTok bio, for example.
Yeah.
But instead of trying to become an influencer yourself, or create user-generated content for other brands yourself, you create a pretty girl or whatever the case is, depending on your niche, and they are creating UGC, user-generated content, for whatever product you want to drop ship. All of this can be done with AI, including, finding the product that will work and having somebody with influence create it. So
gotcha.
There's a few moving pieces to it, because you're creating the person, you're creating the content, then you have drop shipping on the back end. But I think once you dial that in, it's very hands off, right? Can become very passive with people making purchases while you sleep.
So I think AI affiliate marketing, let's call it, I don't think it's a horrible idea. I think let's get into some pros. I think one, if you build it out, if we really go laser hard focus for 3 months, building it out, finding what we want to affiliate market, what we want to sell, building the AI avatars easy. We could build out a year's worth of content for each thing that we want to market. We could also switch up the marketing, let's say every quarter. So you essentially have it on autopilot. Like, you know, you go hard again for 3 months, build it all out for, you can actually set up the whole year of having like a standard X amount of, you know, products that you're going to market for the entire year. But then every quarter you can add new campaigns. So because you already have your avatar, you can find out what's working, what's not working, and then kind of dial in on certain markets, certain areas where you know you are selling, and then make new content every month, every quarter. So you'd spend like a week, let's just say, on dialing in new content and dialing in new products. And every quarter you can do a flip, and you can add more, or, you know, keep certain ones, get rid of certain ones because it's just wasting time or wasting space, and then just again continuing with the ones that are working, add new ones that you want to take a new shot at. I mean, obviously there's cons to everything. You know, with this one, obviously there's no monthly subscription, although you could sell monthly subscriptions.
Your product could be a monthly subscription.
Exactly. So there is a lot of recurring income. There's a lot of potential. I feel like it's a bit of a harder sell. What I mean by that is, although you are an affiliate marketer, sometimes people won't necessarily click on your link. They might go to the website where
I'm not talking about affiliate marketing. I'm talking about creating, like, drop shipping your own product or your own brand.
Okay. Oh, I get you now. Okay. So
they have to go to your website.
Give me an example of something that you would sell, just to kind of like.
I mean, it could be a digital product of some sort that is subscription based. It could be
like what though? Like what? Like, be more specific.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to figure out what would make sense. Like,
okay, gotcha.
It could be a beauty product, right? I was in the bathroom looking at all of the stuff that Anna has. I'm like, this is crazy, the amount of like products you have. Because I've seen that before. Like, I've seen people talk about beauty products. I'm like, who's gonna buy that? They buy it.
So for example, I'm just gonna throw out one. Beard oil. I'm just throwing it out there just because I got a crazy beard. But beard oil, but it's like a subscription based, for example. And
for sure.
You come up with your own, and you white label it or something. You find one out there that you can just slap your own logo on it, and you call it Morgan's Beard, whatever, right? And that's something that our AI sells for us, just to kind of paint the picture for anyone that's watching or listening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's an example of one. You could do, as Morgan said, you could do skincare, you could do this, you could do that. But then with that, you're not gonna go and do research and development and build out your own hand cream. You're gonna find someone out there that offers the hand cream that you can drop ship, and you can white label and put your own twist to it or whatever, and then you can do your own marketing. So just to kind of paint that picture.
Exactly.
I've seen one recently where they do it's a skate sharpening thing, and it's actually for your house. It's almost like an appliance now, and you can have it at your house. You can do your own skate sharpening at your house, but you can actually white label it. So you can now go and you can start your own company. You're drop shipping through them, and it's a skate sharpening thing. And you could technically get run an AI thing and use AI to make commercials and blah, blah, blah. Just again, painting picture for everyone that's out there. But AI, not affiliate marketing, AI marketing.
AI influencer drop shipping.
AI influencer drop shipping.
And basically what you're doing, because what really sells is user generated content, right? Like a business pays influencers, for example, to use their product on videos. People follow them, they like it, they go buy the product. So you're creating that scenario, but with your own product.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like it. I don't hate that idea at all. I think there's a lot of it's a tough one to scale. Could get very lucky and absolutely smash a home run out and becomes like the best thing you ever did in your life. Very low involvement. I think that's actually probably the one out of everything that we've done so far. I think that's the least involved.
Well, and that's kind of what I was trying to go for with this. There's definitely management, because products get stale, right? So there's definitely, but with AI tools, you can always stay up on what products are working right now.
And
if it's working for somebody else right now, they're running ads and they've continued to run ads on it, it's working.
And this is one where something that I wanted to chime in on, we can actually utilize this for pretty much every one of the businesses that we've talked about so far, which actually, yes, we could in one way or another. A virtual assistant, right? This is where you're hiring a virtual assistant for the business. You're paying a low monthly fee for the virtual assistant. They're guaranteeing you X amount of hours to work at your business. You give them a list of tasks that you want them to do. You're paying them monthly and they're doing those tasks. So for this business, just because we're talking about this one at the moment, this is the person that's doing your analytics. They're looking for maybe other opportunities for different products that we can utilize, and they can actually make the content for you a lot of times, especially if you have like a certain AI suite that you're using to basically create these ads. Whether you have to train them or you're hiring a virtual assistant that already knows how to use that software, and they're going on there and they're actually generating the visuals for you. So they're literally doing the entire company for you. And you're just paying them a monthly fee, and obviously you're still going to tap in and look at things. And obviously for somebody like myself, I usually look at my stuff daily, whatever it is, whatever the businesses are. I'm kind of checking up on them every day. This is one that you might use, add that to your daily routine, where you're just literally 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day of just kind of farming the business and looking at everything and looking at the accounts and double checking if everything's going smoothly, maybe messaging your VA, and that's it. So could be very low involvement. So I like this one for, like, this would be at top of the list right now of our ideas that we've had so far for involvement, like minimal involvement, I would say. But it's also, I would say, at bottom of the list at, I would say, potential revenue in terms of like predictable subscription base, these kinds of things. Again, not that it can't get there. It could be the best one, right? But I think the question mark is beside that in terms of like, we could run this for 3 months and make $0, where I feel like a lot of the other ones, I don't see the potential to get zero results.
No, and you're absolutely right. This one would take some time to dial in, like I said. But once you find a winning combination and a winning product, you can scale much faster than less predictable, but can, have those kind of peaks where a product does really well and then dies, right? And then you have to find a new one. So yeah, there is some management in that sense, but I like the idea of having a VA involved.
And there's no real ceiling to that one. Like, I feel like everything else is scalability, but you're kind of like, eventually you're hitting a little bit of plateaus here and there. And not even just more of people that even, like, for example, even the sports league, like, like you could scale it out. It could get very robust. It could. But again, once you get to that point, there's probably even more involvement. There's a little bit more that's going to be required. But also, I feel like you're only going to get a certain amount of players. Like, sometimes leagues die down a bit. There's a little bit up and down. There's a bit of a roller coaster. Your property maintenance, again, you're only going to want to get so many clients. Once you get to, like, again, like we talked about earlier, there's thresholds where you're going to expand and hire new people. But again, you're going to want to like almost plateau to at a certain point where you're happy with your $100,000 that you're making a year off that. Maybe it's $100,000 profit and you're making $100,000. Like, that's good money. You don't necessarily need more. And you kind of like, but whereas this one, what I like about this one is you can make $1 million a year off this one.
It's global, right?
It's global. There's so much different. There's no ceiling, I would say, with this one.
Yeah.
And no ceiling in terms of your time involvement. You don't necessarily have to put in more time because your business is doing better.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of time. You're just maybe looking at better numbers, right?
Exactly.
Anyways, like that one. Good one. All right. Well, let me see if I got one here. I'll hit you with one that I think is also, this is my lowest involvement one, I would say, which is, again, like, I know we're not trying to offer the service that we're offering. Okay. So I want to start off by saying that. Okay. So like, because this one kind of is that, but not necessarily. It's completely dumbed down, and it's more or less niche marketing, but it's like a year of like evergreen content for any type of business. So one would be healthcare, right? So you've got your dentists, you've got your chiropractors, you've got like that area, or you could go to realtors, but most realtors, they already get that from their brokerage. You could go to mortgage side, and I find that a lot of mortgage brokers don't necessarily get this, or maybe they do, but they want something more branded. But I went to healthcare specifically with this one because I feel like it's something that you can make generic content for. They don't pay a lot of attention to this side of things, I find, with most of these healthcare companies. But you're creating basically a yearly calendar. We're posting it for them as well. We're giving them a monthly analytics report that's kind of like letting them know what's going on. It's a bit of a lead generating package you're offering them. But again, you're now niching down. You're not making a bunch of reels for them. I mean, you could add that if you wanted to in a package, but it's all like AI generated. It's all evergreen. It's not, you're not going there. You're not filming. There's no editing. It's all done in the background. So similar to kind of what we were saying with the AI, like your one there, it's kind of like you go and you make a whole bunch of content, and like, you know, for that 3 months, now you have like a year's worth of content and you're selling. But this is more for a niche area. I went with the health area just because I felt like it is kind of wide. Like there is a bunch of different areas in there. Again, I said dentist, I said chiropractor, but you can go to physiotherapy. You can go to, anyways, there's a bunch of them. You get the point. But again, with this one, you're offering like low cost. Like our packages are expensive, but you get a whole team and we're very involved, right? This is no involvement really. Like you sign up, you can actually sign up on the website. You can make it that way. The sales part is the one part where it you know, you have to have a sales system. You have to have salespeople. But again, you could have VAs that are running that part of it for you, and it's more of an outreach, inbound DMs, not so much phone calls, cold calling. So you could have a VA that's doing the outreach for you. We can run ads, we can do email blasts, etc. That's the way we could do the sales part of it. But you have a subscription-based model or an annual. So they can either pay monthly or they can pay for the year. If they pay monthly, it's going to cost a little bit more. They pay for the year, they pay for, you know, a bulk fee up front, but they get the content for the year. Not only do we create the content, but it also gets posted for them. Again, on the back end, they sign up, their content is created like this. It's not, this is not sitting there in custom stuff everywhere, right?
And sorry, who is this for? Who's
healthcare professionals?
Healthcare, like as in like doctors?
If it's a doctor and they have their own practice, they could do it, but it's like physiotherapy.
Gotcha.
You could do chiropractor.
Yeah. Okay.
You could do dentist. You could do you know, like there's foot people, the people that specifically in feet or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You're catering to healthcare. Basically, your offer is you're getting evergreen content for a year. You're getting an analytics report monthly. The content's getting posted for you, and it's a little bit of lead generation. So meaning like the content is going to, we also set it up where their accounts actually auto message. They can book an appointment, click this.
Any chat. Yeah.
Cool. Again, it's kind of what we do a little bit, but not really. It's very more dumbed down and more simplified. It's a less expensive thing, way less time commitment on our side. The only thing is the sales and the marketing obviously would have to be done a certain way on our end if we launch this business. And I feel like that's where your time is. Your time is put into that wherever you fit. So I'm calling it niche marketing because I said healthcare, but we could switch that over to something else. It doesn't have to be healthcare. It could be whatever. It could be real estate.
No, I like it. I think like physio, chiro, all that kind of osteo, all that kind of stuff. You can guarantee what their content's already going to look like. It's all going to look very bland, very the same. They're like most businesses, right? They're a business and they don't have time to focus on the content. They know they got to put it out there. They put out very basic stuff. But I could see this being of value to them for sure. And they have the budget to do it.
And they don't want to sign up for $1,000 package. They don't want you in there with cameras. They don't want you. Like, they don't want the service that we offer as Keep Me Posted. They want evergreen. It's being done in the background, staying consistent. Maybe they run an ad once a month or whatever, and we can talk about ads management. That could be an upgrade or whatever. But again, once you get into ads and you get into this and there's a little bit more involvement. We want to keep the involvement out, take the involvement out of it. So it's just very simple, straightforward. You sign up. Your entire calendar can be generated. Like we could have, for example, Lindsay create a year's worth of content for a chiropractor in an afternoon. She could actually schedule that content as well. And again, probably in another afternoon, right? And then now from there, the systems already generate analytics, right? So we just have to give them the monthly report. So once a month, we have to just touch email. We set them up on their Facebook and Instagram. Let's just say for using those two platforms, and we set it up where it's AI generated in the background, where you have like a bot that answers, and they send, you need to set up an appointment here. Click this to set up a call. Click this to set up your appointment, and that's it. You're done. And this one you want like 50 clients. a year to probably
Mhm.
hit that $20,000 to $50,000 mark.
Yeah.
In order to make your money, right? But let's just say,
Mhm.
as an example, there's a package. It's $1,000 for the year, or it's $100 a month, right?
That's
Just as
very cheap. I think you could even go higher ticket than that.
cheap. You're right, but 50 clients at $1,000 is $50,000, right? 50 clients is not taking a lot of time. Like 50 clients is very easy, very manageable.
Right.
Our overhead is very low there. Let's just say our overhead on that 50K could be 2 to 3 grand in paying someone to do the stuff, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
because again, like that stuff can be done very easily.
Mhm. Cool.
So
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that for sure.
just the pricing structure could get switched around, but the
Yeah.
reason why I'm throwing it that low is because of the low workload. And these people, and I don't want to call anybody cheap, but they don't want to spend a lot of money on this area because they already got their word of mouth. They've got the recurring people. They've got their base of clients. They just want a little bit of extra stuff. They want to stay relevant. They want to be online. They don't
The
want to
thing
spend.
is, they're a business like any other business. There's competition, and they're not marketers. They're not salespeople. They do their thing, and so they need help just like anybody else.
And they're good clients actually for a keep me posted client. Like some of them actually want guys in there with cameras.
It could go either way. Exactly.
Could, yes, but this specific one is being catered to the people that don't want to spend a lot of money every year, right? They want to spend $100 a month, and they're happy with that. They're like $100 a month. Okay, at least my Facebook and my Instagram looks like I'm active. Like you know, some of them are dead. They haven't posted in 5 years. So it's that's kind of how you would go after it. You could throw this again, the sales system in it where you're doing cold calls and stuff like that. But again, if you hire a VA, your VA can take care of mostly everything. And to be honest, you can probably hire a VA that can actually take care of the graphic side and the scheduling of the content. So just throwing it out there. But that's so niche. I'm calling it niche marketing. That's what I'm calling it. But
okay, cool.
You can call it healthcare marketing. You can call it whatever.
Yeah,
but
no, I like it. I don't have a lot of cons for that, to be honest. Like it's, I actually think it's pretty good.
Awesome. Like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So speaking of which, my next on my list was like niche home care services.
Yeah.
So like not really similar, but basically providing like light housekeeping, some meal prep, like basically non-PSW work, companion care for aging population, right? For people who, you know, need just day-to-day help. Yeah, because you can get kind of government supplied things to help with grooming, bathing, toileting. But then outside of that, they don't do, you know, housekeeping, meal prep, and companion care.
I like it.
And so it's recurring, right? It's weekly. You can outsource it to someone in that kind of field. They don't have to necessarily be a PSW, but they could be. You know, it could be extra work for a PSW as well.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
And it's, you know, you're on one hand, your clients are constantly leaving, but also constantly arriving. So
true.
It's a bit of a revolving door, but always going to be in demand.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the meal prep. I like the companion care.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of it, and you make it affordable. You just make it where it's like affordable enough where it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And,
the average is like 30 to 40 an hour. That's like, there's a going rate for it. I'm looking at hiring someone for my mom where she is. And so like, I've been looking into this already, and I think there's definitely a demand for it. There's also could be add-ons with some of our sideline businesses that, you know, cleaning, the power washing stuff they talked about, the lawn care stuff, the snow removal, like all that, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's what's cool about a lot of these things that we're going to be talking about. I know even on mine, some of them are very transferable. Like you can actually, you get one client for this and you can actually tag on this or whatever. So yeah, I like this one. My only pushback, and I mean, I guess you could have this pushback with all of the companies we're talking about, is how do you get those clients?
Yeah. I think that you would do physical marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Flyers, door knockers,
Mm-hmm.
and Facebook ads.
Yeah, you just do your content creation and
Yeah.
social media stuff, and
Yeah.
obviously, like
They're
once
on
you have,
Facebook. Those people.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that makes sense for sure. I like it, and you could do a nice little warm commercial, something that's
Yeah.
very comforting and all that kind of stuff. Do like a nice high end kind of a video, I
Yeah.
would say. And you only need really like one. This isn't like let's make fucking, I don't know why I swore, but let's make like 30 videos and 30 reels, and we're posting. It's not reels heavy. It's like one
No,
commercial.
you test one that works, and it's going to work on all of them, right? Like,
Yeah. So I like that one. Again, this one is definitely more of you're hiring somebody specific. You have to densify in an area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is not, these aren't bad things. These aren't necessarily cons. There's just like observations, I guess you could say. Densify in an area, hire
that's for sure, finding the right person. But densifying in an area is a pro. Like if you can get in a community,
yeah. No, that's why I'm saying they're not cons. They're just like more like observations. Like these are like things, the tactical strategy, right? It's like you're gonna have to basically. It's kind of like the maintenance one, like the home property maintenance one, like that. You're also densifying there. You're not getting a client in
exactly
way over here because it doesn't make any sense. And again, you got to find the right person for the job. So I think they're very similar in some ways, those two. And again, they're also transferable because you might be able to actually like piggyback off each other, but very similar, those two, I would say. And I like the home care one almost better than the other one. Not that I, better or worse, whatever. But the reason why I do kind of like that one a little bit better is you're really helping people, and like you're really making an impact on somebody's life. And like I think that's more important than the property maintenance. Even though the property maintenance is similar, you are helping someone's life. It's better quality of life, but this one's more literally you're helping senior citizens, you're helping a family, you're helping like somebody like yourself, like you said, you're looking for someone to go help your mom, right? Like you're really helping a family, and you're helping a person or an individual or a couple or whatever. No, I really like that one a lot, actually. I don't really know too much about that business, that niche. Obviously, this is why we're doing this. We can also dive into these types of niches and find out more about them in terms of profitability and what does that look like, and the recurring, how does that look like, how does that play out, and all that kind of stuff. But I like it. I love that one. I think it's a great idea.
And it's not limited to a market either,
right? Yeah,
because you're outsourcing, right? You
have very expandable. Very expandable.
Yeah, you have to do a very good job of vetting who it's going to be that's providing a service. That's the biggest part, but you can definitely do it across like the GTA if you wanted. You start in a market and then expand.
And it's not to say that, like, for example, like for where I'm at, like you could cover Durham region. Like when you're densifying, usually you want to stick within a city, which does make sense. Even for this, like I would want to maybe start off like just doing, let's say, for example, just Hamilton or just Clarington. But Durham region is big enough market, and it's also still small enough market where you can go from Pickering to Bowmanville within 30 minutes.
What I was saying was you could have a person in different markets.
Oh, right. No,
not the same person.
I just mean though, like, for example, if we were going to launch this in Durham region as an example,
you would start.
You could launch this with 2 clients. You could launch this with three clients. You don't need a lot. And even if the one person, like you hire one person for Durham region, and they're covering from Pickering to Clarington because it's not that far. Like, there's some gas money, there's some time there, but the amount that you're charging should at least cover that and more, where the profitability is still there in order to make that money to justify being 20 minutes away.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so continuing on, I like that one. That one's a really cool one. That's a curveball. I think that's a curveball. That was a good curveball. I like that one. So I did this one already, so that one's good. I did this one.
What did we do? 4 each?
I did 1, 2.
I did 4 each, or 3 each.
I did 3.
Jeez. Okay. Well, we're already at an hour 10 minutes, so let's
all right. Okay. So let's power through the next one. So we each have 2 left.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just say them and give our 1, 2 on why we think, and then you do it. Like I'll say mine, I'll say why I like it, you rebuttal, and then we'll move on to the next.
Yeah.
We won't dive too deep into them. Okay, so this is Morgan's mobile fleet cleaning. And
that came up on my list when I asked too.
yeah, I like this one though because you can densify. It's a B2B sales, which is great. You can do calls, you can do emails, you can do door or whatever, flyer dropping.
Yeah.
I like it. You hire a guy, a girl, they go out and they're doing 2 or 3 fleets a day if you're lucky, or they're doing one big huge fleet. And you know, again, this is predictability on your scheduling, predictability on your monthly costs. It's a monthly subscription. We're going to go visit them X amount of times, maybe it's once a week, whatever it is, and you go and you do it. It's again, predictable, scalable, B2B salesy, which is good. I like the B2B sales, and yeah, that's about it. Profitability is there.
Yep. I'd have to learn more about, you know, how to get clients, you know, what the offer would be, what to charge, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the actual like doing the job is pretty straightforward, right? You just hire somebody who can clean. Again, you might be able to, like a lot of these things, there's always the potential to be a middleman and just do the marketing and outsource it to somebody who's equipped already, right? And just get them clients.
Yeah, especially at the beginning. Especially at the beginning. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's cool too. Like I love the cleaning business. I love the service-based business. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
You can do fleet cleaning, and then you can also offer detail, like just mobile detailing. Just for like residential as well. So like you can kind of offer it to everybody, but you can do you lean heavy on the commercial cleaning side and try to get fleets, because obviously there's more money in that. It's like a bulk deal, but you're also still offering your onesie twosies, I like to call them, where it's your residential sales. And again, you hire a guy or at the beginning.
Pretty hands off. That's my favorite model. That's the cleaning model that we talked about last week, which
absolutely
I need to do some tweaking to increase profitability, but it's definitely like doable.
Right. All right. What's your next?
Not mad at that. What do I have next? What's next? Okay, here's one for you.
I love the way that we were like starting them off. Like, hear me out.
This is where to go. This one is luxury wallpaper design.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's essentially using like Nano Banana to create intricate luxury wallpaper patterns for designers. And then using Pinterest and, organic and paid ads to market it. You sell these designs for like $400 or $500. And then obviously if you get in with somebody who's an interior designer or a stager or something like that, you can get some sort of recurring. There's not a lot of once you have your kind of designs and your ads going, there's not a lot you need to do to maintain it.
Okay. Awesome. Never that's not even a curveball. That's like a slider. That's a
It's very, very niche, but like, I'm really like niching down into things versus being too wide with things. But yeah, that one's like kind of a single solo. You just set it up, do it. It's not going to take too many moving pieces.
I'd like to learn more about the business structure. Obviously, we're not going to take the time to talk about it today, but something I know nothing about. So that's cool. I like that because it's like something like even now, that's probably gonna be the first one I look at. Like, wait, what? You know what I mean? Because it's like I've never even heard of it and that never crossed my mind. But it sounds cool. And to add to that, just to kind of widen that before we move on to the next one here, is you can do that similar idea with multiple different things. So for an example, you could do, and we did this before, which is like we created a custom agenda for a business consultant, right? So here's an agenda now that they're selling. It's a Pinterest play, really, but it's like, here's an agenda that they can now sell to their existing fan base. for existing clientele,
Yeah.
or however you want to put it. It could be for a coach, it could be for a fitness instructor, it could be for a whatever, but you're creating something custom through
Mhm.
like through whatever, Pinterest, however you want to do it, and that's how you sell it. And you can sell it online, you can sell it 1,000 times, 100,000 times. I think that's kind of what you're talking about, like that. Like you can sell like this wallpaper design, but you can sell it to like multiple interior direct. They can
Yeah.
just kind of go on Pinterest and purchase it.
Yeah, basically. But it's a very specific niche thing, whereas there are a lot of people creating,
No. I know. I just mean the concept, like the business model is like you're creating a design, and you're basically selling the design through something like Pinterest or Pinterest. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to make sure I understood the concept.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool. Oh, I like it. Okay. So my last idea. Now, this one here, it's similar to a business we've been talking about, and something actually that you're doing, which is the cleaning company.
Mm-hmm.
But it's niched down as well. So this is more for, and again, like this might be something that you guys are after in that company. So this might, I don't know if this is too piggybacked off that or not, but it's the short-term turnover. So this is for like Airbnb owners.
Yeah.
And we're going in and we're making the beds and we're doing that stuff and all that kind of stuff. But then you can also include like, and again, this is why I was talking about that earlier. This is also like you can piggyback onto your property maintenance, right? So this is where all of a sudden, we're also doing their snow removal, we're doing their lawn care and all that. But the company itself, the way we would brand it and market it is for short-term rentals. We are the Airbnb bestie, your Airbnb, we're helping you become a 5-star host basically by doing amazing cleaning, turnovers and that sort of thing.
No, I like it because it goes hand in hand, like with my cleaning business. It's already kind of there. It's just creating a new offer and marketing around it.
That's right. And just, I think the niche down part of that is, again, we could brand this, Airbnb buddy. Or whatever, right? Like however you want.
The only thing I can see, it just needs to be in a market where an Airbnb friendly and busy market.
Yep, exactly. And again, with this one, I would say the big pro is very low involvement. You market it online. You set it up where the people can literally sign up with it online. It's the Airbnb buddy. And, this is what you get. It's very straightforward. You pay us monthly. We go in after everything. And it costs this much for each time we go.
Yeah.
It's a low cost for each time we go because you're paying monthly.
Yeah.
So the way you model your business is, obviously it wouldn't be this cost, but you're paying $100 a month for the subscription. And every time we do a clean, it's only $25. Again, just an example.
Yeah.
But that way you're getting your subscription base and you get a per visit. You're paying your person $20 per visit. They're paying us $25. Low profitability on that if we did it that way. But that $100 a month is where you make your money.
Yeah. The recurring, exactly. Yeah. No, and that's exactly my model. That's just directed specifically at Airbnbs, which is on my list as well. Like my ever growing list.
Right. But it's again, it's just an idea. Again, something that I tried to put on there as like a low overhead. There was tons of ideas. There's so many, and a lot of them have to do, there's a lot of marketing ones. I found like our business that we already currently do with Keep Me Posted, but I wanted to steer away from it. I wanted to do service-based businesses.
Yeah.
I just find the service-based businesses are great, but I did throw in a couple there that weren't necessary. Well, I guess really only one, which is the sports league.
Mm-hmm.
The sports league one is not service-based. It's very more community-wise. And to me, so let's do this now. We'll each say our top 3 before we sign off here. We'll each say our top 3 from our own list. And then we can, maybe from my top 3 that I pick, you can tell me what your favorite is out of those 3 of mine, and out of your 3 that you pick, I'll, and then we'll have 6. And maybe we can ask the audience to help us dial into 3. So
okay. Well, I'm only at 4 so far. So.
Oh, sorry. You got one more. My bad.
Yep.
That's my fault.
I see what you're trying to do there.
Oh, no, I forgot first.
So number 5 is something that I've kind of already started doing. and also kind of could go hand in hand with Keep Me Posted too, but not exactly. And it's just creating websites, building AI websites for businesses on Google that don't have it, service-based businesses, specifically cleaning companies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Lawn care companies who you can Google them, their name comes up, their Google profile doesn't even show up. They haven't even claimed that. They don't have a website attached to it. They just have a phone number that they don't answer. So you build them a very basic, friendly website. They've been quoted, $5,000 in the past. That's why they don't have one. We can offer to them for $600 or $700. Done. And then you can charge a monthly subscription, $50 to host it.
Yeah.
Very straightforward. And then if they do want something bigger, then you can go and, we create a more involved website, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then there's upsells from there. AI receptionist, which again can be set up on the back end, and they have no idea how to do it. They're not answering the phone when they're out doing the job or after hours because they're tired. So they have somebody then who knows their business, answering calls and answering basic questions after hours and sending them direct messages if it's something that needs, to be answered right away.
Yeah, I like this one. I like this one too. And I saw a good tactic for this one, which is like, you kind of already said it, which is you're basically scrubbing through Google, seeing which businesses don't have a website, and you're calling them and offering them a cheap website.
Yep.
It's a straightforward. I mean, again, this is one where you could hire a VA to do your outbound, be direct inboxing to their Facebook or Instagram, sending them an email.
They probably won't see it though, because they're busy doing the job.
Sure. That's why, honestly, it is more.
It's case in point, though. Like,
this is definitely more of a cold call one, I would say. But again, it's a B2B. I love B2B. It's a cold call.
Yeah.
You do commission based for your sales reps. You could start off by doing your own ones. The only thing I don't like about it is the recurring. I mean, there is a small recurring you could do with the website hosting. So there is that. You could obviously upgrade them to a potential monthly service agreement. But yeah, no, I like it. I think, again, your overhead, you're paying somebody to build the website. I mean, the AI nowadays, you can.
You're not even like, honestly, you can. There's sites called like landing. Page AI. It'll build the mock-up, so you can say, "Look, I already built it for you. If you want to call, I'll show it to you. If you like it, great. It'll cost you $600. If not, no worries. And then if they like it, you go ahead and like finish it on the back end."
Yep. No, I that's actually the same strategy that I was talking about earlier, but I didn't mention that. But that's how they did it. They would go, they find one. It's like, okay, this one's a heavy chance that they're going to buy it. They actually do the AI mock-up. Or like you said, there's all these different sites you can go to, and they already have it. Essentially, you send them a link to it. They actually click on the link and they're like, oh my gosh, like this website's already done. Like it's a no-brainer, right? Like, and you could technically do that with the content one I was talking about earlier with like healthcare. Hey, how would you like to have this monthly calendar, right? Like it's already done for you, right? And so then you cold call them. It's just more powerful when you cold call them, right? But yeah, no, I like that one. It's very cool, and you could make tons of money off that. Like, again, the recurring might not be there per se, like not that it isn't there, there's potential for it, but like it doesn't even matter because you're making, let's just say $500 profit every single website. So you sell 10 of those a day, you're making $5,000 a day. Obviously 10's a high number, but it's not really. I like it.
But then you have like it after a couple months, you have 10, 20, 30, 40 of these paying $50 a month. It adds up.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like the potential
recurring small, but it's
recurring is there. It definitely is still there. It's just that I would say it's not necessarily your main bread and butter, but maybe it is, right? Like you said, maybe, you get to 100 of them, and now you have a decent recurring, right? And the actual workload on 100 sounds like it might be a lot, but it's really not. You're barely doing anything.
No, hosting is hosting. You're not actually doing anything, and then you charge for updates, right? Like
that's what I mean. Every time you flip the site, you could charge $200. You could charge $250. We technically usually charge $250 for active clients that have a website with us and that we're doing their maintenance for them. We charge them a maintenance fee every month, but then we also, if they want to flip it, we give them a good price on the flip. So that's a benefit of staying with us. So that's your retention, and that's how you keep them recurring. And because you do your hosting with us, well, we can offer you, normally we charge $500 to flip your site. We'll only charge you $250. We'll give you 50% off discount. And again, that flip doesn't really take much, and it doesn't cost us much on our end. So yeah, I like it. Okay, so let's we're at almost an hour and a half here. It's been a good call. I think we got a lot of cool ideas here. I'm going to do a quick blast through. So we've got our sports league, could be for adults, could be for kids. We've got our property maintenance company year-round solution. Also with that sports league, it could be an after-school program. I randomly have that there. We've got our mobile fleet cleaning and detailing for residential owners and corporate. We've got our short-term rental turnovers, our Airbnb buddy. I like that name too, by the way. Niche marketing. So for healthcare professionals, chiropractors, massage therapists, your foot guy, whatever. It's essentially their marketing for the year. Content's created for them, and it's mainly evergreen content. We're talking graphic designs and stuff like that, and we post it for them too. And we set it up where they've got the auto response, and they send a booking link. Then we've got our event rental company, our mascots, and bouncy castles, photo booths, and could be expanded to other event rental items. We've got our influencer drop shipping. We're selling a product with a AI created influencer that we create, and we drop ship multiple products. We've got our home care, meal prep, and companion care for elderly. So we're going into the home. We have somebody that goes into the home. They do meal prep for them. They might tidy up a little bit. They're kind of hanging out with the person, a little bit of companionship and that sort of thing. We've got our wallpaper design, which we could broaden to our a design and Pinterest sales. But let's start with wallpapers. We're doing wallpaper design specifically. We're tapping into the interior decorating area and etc. But could also be expanded to further design options that we sell online through Pinterest, and we've got multiple. We could technically expand that to a bunch of different areas. And then we've got our direct sales, B2B. We're selling websites to people who don't have websites currently, who need a website, and we're making kind of like simple websites for them, but helping them with their SEO a little bit, their Google search a little bit. There could be some upsells there, and also could lead to further sales for even Keep Me Posted, for example. A lot of these businesses could be helping each other. We could have multiple of these businesses open that are helping each other. So there's 10 businesses that we came up with, me and Morgan, where it is sort of low maintenance, low time commitment, easy to launch. We want to know what you guys think, what your favorites are. I'm going to give you my top 3. You give me your top 3. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard. I have like top 5.
of all of them, or you mean like all yours are your favorite?
No. Of all of them.
Okay,
I
hit me with your top 5. Hit me with your top 5.
Okay. In no particular order necessarily.
Sure.
The website, the building, because I've already been kind of been building it out already.
Yeah.
The cleaning, the Airbnb turnover. Again, it kind of goes hand in hand with some bias there. The home care. I like the home care. I like the content for health professionals. And I like and then I like the event rentals. So I basically have 2 of yours and 3 of mine.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. I like them all too. I'm gonna go with my favorite ones. I really like the Airbnb buddy.
Yep.
I like the name too. I don't know if it's taken.
Yeah. I just Googled it. I don't think it's taken.
The reason why I like that name is it really just niches you down, right?
Yeah. There's something called Host Buddy. It's like an AI tool for.
I don't know if you're allowed to use the word Airbnb in your business name either. So there's
maybe not. Yeah.
I really like the sports league one. I do like the sports league one, and for many different reasons, but obviously I'm pretty heavy into sports and that sort of thing with the family and everything like that. But I like the potential of it. I like the potential of the tournaments. I like the idea of the expansion of it and all that kind of stuff. I really like the event rentals. I do really like the event rentals.
Well, it goes hand in hand with the balloons too, right? Like that's like,
yeah. And again, we're kind of already in the mix of that with a friend of ours and all that kind of stuff. Like Lindsay just built her website. Her stuff is listed on their website. Like, but that's not to say that we can't launch one in Hamilton, right? I probably wouldn't want to launch one here because we're already working with Party Perfection. Wouldn't launch it here because that's already happening here. But we could literally launch that there, and you could start it off by using your garage, and people are coming and picking stuff up from there. And again, I'm not thinking just bouncy castles. I'm thinking like all the other stuff. Like what's really popular with her right now is like the cocktail tables. I think she buys them for like $150, but she rents them out for $15 a piece. You know, you buy 10 of them, it's a $1,500 cost, but you know, you can make that back in 10 rentals. So but event rentals, I think is a top one. I like the property maintenance one, and I do like the home care. So I would say those are my top four.
Okay.
I like property maintenance. I think it goes hand in hand with also a lot of people that are in our network. I think it's also, even though it's a saturated market in a lot of cases, and there is some pretty heavy upfront costs. I don't know if it's one that we would jump on right away. I don't think it's something like it would be like our first go-to. No, but do I like it? And I like the business model. Yes.
Which one? Sorry?
Like, the property maintenance.
Right.
That's like your snow removal, your lawn care, and all that kind of stuff. I think that's one of the ones that are on both of our lists. That's kind of the more overhead to start.
Yeah. I like it a lot. It's just
the overhead. I think it's a little bit more involvement than some of them too. But again, the goal is that we would launch it. If we chose that one, we would launch it where we're not too involved. And again, back to your outsourcing for the first season, maybe we're outsourcing and we're working with somebody that's a little slow and they're not crushing it on the sales side. But then your home care one, I like that a lot. I don't see a huge overhead in that either. You just have to have the right person that's going to do the fulfillment side, and you can market it online. And we don't necessarily, again, it's not something there's a lot of involvement in. I think though, the only thing that's a little bit overlooked that we maybe didn't talk about is I think that there's more human interaction in that one. You can't you could get some signups through the online marketing, but I think it's a phone call. Like I think it's like
they come in through a Facebook ad.
Yeah, but they need to talk to you or they need to talk to me.
Their generation is definitely someone that you speak to, but it doesn't necessarily have to be us.
I think at the beginning it's us, and it's okay because you're just dealing with phone calls, and it's like again, you're still low. Everything else is low. Like we're not going into the home. We're not like, you know, you set up your online marketing, it's done. The team did it all. It's already finished. So like if we have to answer some phone calls, like that's still very low involvement, you know. And again, eventually you hire somebody that does that part, right? At the beginning, I would say we would have to do that part, but eventually you hire somebody that does that part. And then the problem solved.
So you don't have content for health professionals on your top?
I like it, but do I like it better than some of the other ones? Not really.
It could almost just get an add-on to keep me posted so that we keep it alive. But
for sure.
So the top three like overlap between our top fives are Airbnb Buddy, home care, and event rentals.
All yours. Not that matters. That's not what this is about.
No, Airbnb Buddy is yours.
Oh, okay, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. So
out of our top fives, those were the top threes that we both had.
Well, that's good because that helps us narrow it down. And again, you know, if anyone's watching this, help us narrow it down. What do you think? But
let's go with that. We're going to put that out to people. Our top three choices to start a business are event rentals. That's bouncy castles, maybe photo booths, maybe balloon arches, stuff like that. Home care sending non-PSW people into homes with elderly people that need, meal prep, companionship, as well as some light housekeeping. And then third is Airbnb Buddy, which is cleaning service directed at Airbnbs.
That's it.
I got it all there?
Yep. Perfect.
Cool.
And
let us know what you think is the best business idea for Dan and I to start
in 2026.
In 2026.
In 2026, the top 3 businesses that me and Morgan think that you should start, or we should start, is Airbnb Buddy, which is helping an Airbnb host, event rental company, so bouncy castles, other event items, could do add-ons like balloon arches, and we were talking about a photo booth rental, and the home care services for the elderly, basically non-PSW workers, as Morgan mentioned, where we go into the home, we help out with some light cleaning and maybe some meal prep and some other things around the house. Yeah. All right. I just repeated it just because maybe, I don't know, when it clipped up, maybe whatever, right? Yeah. So, absolutely. Yeah, love it. I think it's great. What do you think? Let us know. That was a great chat. And I mean, that's just the top 3 that we picked. Maybe by next week, maybe we talk more about this, and maybe we decide, hey, let's give this one put this one back on the chopping block. But
because there's some other great ideas there that I like, that I had such a hard time narrowing it down. So yeah, who knows, maybe one of them rears its head and we're like, you know what, I keep thinking about that one might work.
Like content for health, like you brought it back.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
For me, sports league, like whether we do it or not, it's something that I seriously want to do anyways.
Yeah.
So I might still end up doing that. You know what I mean?
I love it. I think it's very cool. I just, to me, it seems like a lot of moving pieces. So that's my only reason why I'm kind of like, I'm trying to find something as low friction as possible.
And I agree. And that's why I'm saying is, like, me and you might team up on, just as an example, Airbnb Buddy. And then that'll be our kind of our project here and our case study. But you guys might be hearing about me launching a little sports league in the background. You might be hearing a little bit of something about Morgan launching a little bit of a wallpaper business. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So stay tuned and keep and we'll keep you posted on what's up next for us. But next week, we're going to come back. We're going to dive deeper into these businesses throughout the week. We're going to do a little bit of homework, each of us. I think what we should do is we'll take all 3. You're going to come up with pros and cons and strategies. I'm going to come up with pros and cons and strategies for all 3. We'll come back. Yeah, and we'll dissect all 3 and go a little bit deeper into each of them. Like, we did go kind of deep into some of them, but let's do a little bit of research, each of us, and talk about, again, pros and cons, a little bit more in depth pros and cons. And let's talk about strategies and what strategies would be for each of them. So that way you can kind of tell me, this is what I think we should do for Airbnb Buddy, or this is what I think we should do for our event rentals, right? And I'll because, like, even with event rentals, like, I love that idea, and I would go so much deeper into it with you. I have so many other ideas, and it's so much more expandable than kind of what you brought to the table, even though like I get it, like that's kind of the vision, and that's a good place to start. Low investments and stuff like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's low investment. Getting a bouncy castle is kind of expensive, but back to your strategy, which you keep implementing in a lot of these different things, is you team up with somebody local and, someone that maybe has 25 bouncy castles. They've been doing it for 10 years. Right. But maybe somebody, for example, maybe somebody had a bad experience with them. Right. And so they don't want to necessarily go back to that person because they kind of clip them off the board and they're looking for a new person. Right. If we're able to piggyback and use that, a similar bouncy castle or the same bouncy castle, and maybe our guy goes and picks it up from them and drops it off. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
and you can test it, right? You can put it out there and be like, bouncy castle rental, see how many inquiries you actually get, see if it's worth doing without buying anything.
Okay. So we're going to come back to the drawing board again. We came up with these 3, which is the Airbnb Buddy, event rentals, and home care services. But if you heard something that you think that we need to dive deeper into next week, please let us know, and we'll put it back on the table maybe. And so if we see a bunch of comments about, this, that, or the other, maybe we'll put it on the table for next week and we'll dive back into it. But yeah, other than that, that was good, man. I appreciate your time, and that was awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, man. Until next time.
We'll see you guys next week.